I've never been a fan of the whole cabin in the woods vibe, but my buddy Mark insisted. He rented this off-grid place up in the Appalachian foothills. No cell service, no neighbors, just miles of thick timber. He swore we just needed a weekend to unplug. We got there around dusk. The moment I stepped out of the truck, the woods felt wrong. You know how the forest usually has a noise? Birds, crickets, wind in the leaves? Here it was dead silent, like the whole ecosystem was holding its breath. Inside, the cabin was fine, except for one weird thing. Every single window had heavy wooden shutters, bolted shut from the inside. Mark brushed it off, unlocked a few to let the air in, and set up his camera gear. He was big into night photography. By 11 p.m., the fog had rolled in so thick you couldn't see 5 feet past the porch. Mark was out on the deck, taking long exposure shots of the fog. I was in the kitchen making coffee when I heard it, a loud, violent knock on the front door. 3 sharp thuds. I froze. Mark was on the deck behind the house, so who the hell was at the front? I slowly walked over to the door. There was no peephole, but right next to the frame, there was a small gap in the wooden shutters. I leaned in, pressed my eye against the glass, and looked out. Nothing, just gray fog. Then a voice came from the other side of the heavy wooden door. It sounded exactly like Mark. "Dude, open up. I locked myself out, and my hands are freezing." My hand actually touched the doorknob, but right before I turned it, my brain kicked in. I glanced toward the back porch glass doors. Through the fog, I could clearly see Mark's silhouette sitting in his camp chair, his camera flash occasionally blinking. Mark was still outside on the deck. The blood went cold in my veins. I backed away from the door. The voice outside spoke again, but this time the tone dropped completely flat. No emotion, no accent, just a mechanical imitation of Mark's voice. "Open the door. I know you're standing right there." Then came a sound that almost made me throw up, the wet, heavy scraping of fingernails dragging down the wood of the door from top to bottom. I bolted to the back porch, grabbed Mark by his jacket, and pulled him inside, slamming and locking the glass doors behind us. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. I dragged him into the kitchen and whispered what happened. His face went pale. "Wait," Mark whispered, pulling up his camera's live preview. "Look at this." He pointed at the screen. He'd been running a continuous time-lapse of the front yard. On the tiny screen, we watched the footage. At 11:02 p.m., a figure stepped out of the fog and approached the front door. But it wasn't a person. It was tall, maybe 7 feet, painfully thin, with arms that hung way past its knees. Its face was completely blank. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just smooth, pale skin. We stared at the screen in pure terror. But then the footage kept playing, and my heart stopped. On the video, the creature didn't just knock on the front door. It walked up to the window and pushed its entire body into the cabin through the tiny gap in the shutters. We weren't safe inside. The creature was already in the cabin with us, and right behind us, from the dark hallway leading to the bedrooms, we heard my own voice softly whisper, "I found you."